So we're taking a look at Psalm 22 today. This was written hundreds of years before crucifixion was invented of any kind. They stoned people back in this time, and the question for this chapter is, how did the author know what crucifixion was? Let me take a look. Let me see, does it have that way? Either way. So verse 13, they gaped upon me with their mouths as a ravening and roaring lion. Gaped upon them with their mouths. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, it is melted in the midst of my bowels. So really got like some kind of pain there, or like his heart is melted and it's in his bowels. A lot of pain there, and his bones are out of joint. How does that work? Why are his bones out of joint? Were they getting smashed by rocks, or well, they had to be pulled out of joint, right? Just something to keep in mind. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue cleaveth to my jaws, and thou hast brought me into the dust of death. So his tongue is kind of sticking. Another translation say to the roof of his mouth, which I believe was what that word meant, like just sticking there. Really thirsty, his bones are out of joint. For dogs have compassed me, the assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. They pierced my hands and my feet. So he's stretched out, and his hands and feet are pierced. His bones are out of joint. His mouth is dried up, and his hands and feet are pierced. Why are they pierced? I may tell all my bones, they look and stare upon me. They part my garments among them and cast lots upon my vesture. As they did, they'd gamble for clothing during the Roman crucifixion time. So gambling for clothing. You can see his bones. His bones are out of joint, and his hands and feet are pierced. Let me see. So let's think of something from that time that would have someone's bones out of joint and their hands and feet pierced. And I believe the word is like the palm or something like that. And they didn't really have a word for that. Someone's arms and legs are stretched out. Their heart is kind of melted in them. And they can see their bones as though they're stretched out. Their hands and their feet are pierced. What exactly is this talking about? Is it or is it not talking about crucifixion? What other explanation? Is he being bit by dogs or being stabbed by people? And like getting his arms and legs pulled out of joint? Why are they doing that? Why are they stabbing his arms, his hands, and his feet? Why do they pull his bones out of joint? This is an odd thing to do. Probably because it's talking about crucifixion. And even if that was happening, let's say that was happening. Let's say he was getting his arms pulled out of joint and getting his hands and feet stabbed and whatever, which is a really odd thing to do. And let's say, people took his clothes. If they're casting lots for his clothes, doesn't that mean he's naked? So they stripped him naked. They're gambling his clothes. They're stabbing him in his hands and in his feet, and his bones are out of joint, and he can he can see them. Uh, did that actually happen? Is that really something to have actually happened? Seems a little odd, don't you think? And even if that did happen, that looks quite a bit like crucifixion, don't you think? Seems kind of odd that King David would have something happening to him to look so much like crucifixion. Both pretty crazy. So, how did this psalm exist exactly? I thought it wasn't recording for a second. Yeah, how did this exist exactly? I'm thinking God. I'll let you, if you have another explanation, I'd like to, I should say an explanation that makes that much sense. I'd like to hear it.